Speaking with Ashley Ramsay, the unaffiliated, independent, former BC United candidate running in the Kelowna Mission riding. Welcome to politics, isn't it fun?
Oh yeah, it's awesome. Definitely seen things I can't unsee now, but it's okay.
Obviously not what you expected coming in. Let's talk about your decision to stay in the race. Why did you make that decision?
Thank you. Absolutely. We had the decision on August 28th, and on September 4th, by that point I had announced. It didn't take me very long to make the decision, but we did do a number of, assessments, quite frankly. I call it kind of part data, part heart. With BC United, we had been working since June. So we had been campaigning. We had done 6,000 doors, not knocked, but we did lit drops to 6,000 doors. We did 1,200 door knocks, and we had already voter ID'd over 2,000 supporters. And so with that data and the data that we had, had access to from the entire riding of where the riding usually goes in terms of their voting for the provincial, we looked at that, and then secondly, I just couldn't give up on my people. I was getting texts and emails and support letters, and quite frankly, we had donors, and at that point, I just needed to stay in it for my people.
Why did you get in politics in the first place? I mean, you're a successful businesswoman, things going well. Why all of a sudden just make this turn?
So, as we were growing the studio over the last 12 years, I had a lot of fortunate opportunities to work in government in a non-paid capacity on Crown boards. So not many people will know that, but over the last decade, I've been working under the Small Business Roundtable, Innovate BC, Accelerate Okanagan, the Chancellor's Regional Leadership Roundtable, which I'm still part of. So I've had an opportunity to observe all of the destruction that we've literally had occurred to us under the NDP government. So there was always a burning desire to make a difference and to be of service. And so when Yeti Farm, which was our studio here, we built, sold in December, I was not doing much. I was taking a deep breath, and I got a phone call, and it was, you know what, Ash, you got to throw your name in the hat. You're perfect for this, and there's going to be an opportunity potentially. And so we had a family meeting, and I thought, you know what? I think I can do this, but let's update the security cameras and on the house. And it comes from this deep calling to serve. And if I'm given an opportunity to serve, I always take that opportunity, and I always have. And I did that multiple times over the last, decade of my career, working on multiple boards all at the same time.
Coming in as an independent candidate, are you bringing with you the BC United platform and massaging it? What's the goal? What's the aspiration there?
You know what? I would say at this point, yes, we did have amazing policy. What BC United and the centre-right, true conservative lens brings is a nice balanced approach. Free enterprise, conservative spending, get the budget balanced, but also think about social issues and really try to balance it all out. Nothing extreme on one side or the other. And so also a lot of their policies are related to balancing the budget and making sure that we have a way to support infrastructures like healthcare and transportation and all of the things that we need in a society that were pretty awesome. Like one of their tax cuts, $50,000 tax-free. I thought that was amazing, not only for the individuals but for the economy, right? So when people have more money, they're spending more money. That helps the businesses. So yeah, I would say that we'll stand behind that philosophy of policy making, but we can also offer our own policies, which can be completely different from all the parties. That can be very specific. Yeah. So, well, you know what? At this point, I'm fair game, right? Like I think what the really cool thing is we can get at roundtables. I can go to the meetings. I can speak to the constituents, the electorate, and really understand what are the specific needs of this community and how can we push those forward, and then how can we observe what the other two parties are doing and hopefully balance those decisions out for the benefit of the Okanagan. So if there's an agriculture policy or help for the growers, that's a big problem right now specifically. I'm just going to kind of use that off the top of my head. And we haven't created any policy around this, but we're able to go to the farms and meet with the farmers and figure out, okay, is it money that you need right now? And what kind of financial aid is it? Will a loan really work? Is it a grant, right? And really get into their business models and figure out, like, what are the specific targeted solutions that we need to really fix this problem? One of the really wonderful things that used to happen in the Liberal government, BC Liberal, not federal Liberal, were roundtables. So Small Business Roundtable was amazing. We had business owners come together from all over the province quite frequently. We met about every 6 weeks for, during when Horgan was in power under the NDP. And over the last 3 years, we've maybe met a handful of times. But the beautiful thing about a roundtable is that it brings voices from within the communities that are struggling to the table to provide feedback. I was just reading the BC Real Estate Association's recommendations, and one of them is to form a housing roundtable throughout the province. What a concept. Maybe we can open our ears and listen to what people need. So, hopefully that kind of gives you a well-rounded answer to why an independent.
On your website, and I know Dr. Humer mentioned this on Friday when he made his announcement, that we're in a new period of politics in BC where, you're not the traditional independent candidate. And that neither Mr. Rustad, Mr. Eby, in his view, in your view, should be given unfettered power. That if you're fortunate enough, the independent voice, if enough candidates are elected, could be holding the balance of power. In that kind of a scenario, have you and the other independent candidates from the former BC United Party had a chat as to how you would use that kind of power if it was granted to you in that scenario?
Great question, Wayne. This is like an amazing question. Yes, we are all working separately, but we're connected. So we're supporting one another in this journey. We all have similar mindsets, right? We have experience in our community. We've all lived in our community for a long time. We've all done a lot of leadership within our communities. In fact, some of the BC United candidates that are running currently as independent after the decision to suspend the campaign have already been MLAs for triple decades, right? Or maybe a couple of decades. The other unique distinction in this race this year is that we're all vetted. So we went through the 47-page document, the criminal record check, the full scope of online social media. They've gone through our entire backgrounds. For weeks this took, right? The vetting process for me was about a 4-week process. I mean, it was intense. So, and all of us have gone through that. Whereas if you look at the Conservatives, there are some things sort of coming to light about each of these candidates across the province that are, enlightening, let's just say. With regards to the amount of candidates who are running, currently I believe in our group we've got 18, potentially 19. They're all announcing on their own schedule. So that's fine, that's okay. But it creates a situation where we have more opportunities for more independents to be elected. And if you look across the province at all of the ridings, and I would encourage Castanet and anyone else listening today to go and have a look at each riding. On the BC Conservative side, they can't form power. If you look across the province, you have candidates who are not living in their ridings, they haven't been vetted, they have very extreme views, and on the other side in their communities, they have a choice to grab up the NDP. So what's BC going to do? Are they going to go extreme with a candidate they don't know, they've never seen, they don't know their name, or are they going to go NDP? And so that's giving us the information that we have made the assumption that we don't think the BC Conservatives can actually form power. It's scary.
Then there's an interesting dilemma for you in the fact that who do you prop up in a situation like this? We saw this a number of years ago with Christy Clark-John Horgan, who would, Christy Clark was given the opportunity because she was the former government to form. Yep. The Greens wouldn't support her. They supported the NDP, so we had the NDP government. Would you prop up the NDP? Would you prop up the Conservatives? A party you just said, has extreme views. Which way do you go?
Yeah, for sure. That's a really great question. At this point, we're going to have to wait and see when we get down there what we're looking at for numbers. I think it's going to have to be, once we get there, how are we going to be an ally to policies as they're moving through legislature. I don't think it's necessarily that we're going to swing one way or the other. That's the beautiful thing. We can support great ideas from either party, but in a balanced way. So, one of my counterparts had said the other day he was really excited about the $10 a day daycare that the NDP announced. Hey, I'm all for that too, but let's make sure that that's implemented in a way that actually works for families. And so we can come in there and really analyze that policy and say, you know what, you've got our vote if these three things happen. Isn't that amazing? And on the other side, on the BC Conservative side, if they want to set up a nuclear power plant in Lake Okanagan or something, because that you just never know with this party, we can actually say, well, that's not going to work for us because this, this, and this. But you know what? Maybe if we put one there and how that's going to affect the environment, we'll consult with the Greens. So we can actually kind of get in there and get specific about things and actually ask for these decisions to be more balanced and in the favor of British Columbians on the whole. So I think it's pretty awesome. And I actually didn't really realize the power of that. And when I was running, I just decided I'm in it for my people. I'm in this to win this. We've got this, stay the course. And now we're sort of figuring out, wow, there could be like a lot of us down there really helping to balance this out, which is really exciting for us.
You talked about 6,000 doors. What's the number one issue in Kelowna Mission?
Yeah, for sure. Affordability, hands down. I can't afford to live. One of the days I was out, I'll tell you a story. It was the day we announced the $50,000 tax cut, and I thought, you know what, I'm getting on the doors. And I was all by myself. I was down in downtown, that part of the riding, and I stopped at two particular doors. I think I had only done about 50 that day, but there was a group of people sitting around, and they're living in their van, like half of them are living in the van, and half of them are living in the house. And it was, she works at one of the shelters, and it was all about that to the point where I was there for 2.5 hours, right? Like just 2.5 hours. There were so many great ideas about how are we going to get the spirit back in our community? Can we just get the regatta going again? And, so I don't want to like hone on that too much, but there's this real lack of spirit in BC right now that you feel. Like another woman, she opened the door and I said, I'm Ashley, I'm running for MLA in your riding, and did you hear about the new announcement? And she just started crying. She said, this is going to change my life. My partner and I, we barely can make it. We've got 4 kids between us, and it was just a watershed. The other one, crime and safety. Obviously, addictions is a tricky one in our city. We're sitting here in a downtown office. We had our studios downtown for years. We had lots of issues. Healthcare. I think being an entrepreneur, I'm inclined to think about ways that we can think outside the box and how we can make healthcare more accessible and a little more service friendly, right? So if you have a sick kid at home, that kid's fevering, why rush them down to the hospital? Shouldn't we just be able to sign on, put our kid's name, our health number, it's all confidential, these are the symptoms, and then you get a buzzer, be at the hospital in 35 minutes, so that we're not packing the rooms during flu season. I mean, simple things like that. 64 health authorities across British Columbia, there's 7 in Alberta. So what are we doing about that? Like $250,000 per president of each health authority. So, right? So that's another big one for Kelowna. And then, around that, even arts and culture and sport. I think that, Kelowna is a great athlete community. We're a big part of the Big White Ski Club. My husband's a coach there. He's been a coach for a few years. We have Kelsey Surwa, out of here. I'm speaking specifically about skiing, but we have a lot of young families here that need attention right now. And quite frankly, just attention would be nice. Like British Columbia legislature, having this representation mostly in power from down on the coast, we're kind of stepchilded, right? And so having independents, a few of us from this region in there to really fight for what we need here is going to be pretty awesome, I'm hoping.
As we wrap this up, I want to give you an opportunity to look in our camera, look at your constituents, your potential constituents, and tell them why on October 19th, when they go to the ballot box and see Ashley Ramsay's name, they should put a little check mark beside it.
Thank you so much, and thank you for listening today and hanging in here at this interview. I've been in the community for nearly 30 years. I've created hundreds of jobs here, and I come from a deep place of service, and I will work so hard for you specifically, and that's what sets me apart from the other candidates, and I thank you so much.
Ashley Ramsay, unaffiliated, independent candidate for Kelowna Mission, October 19th. Ashley, thanks for this and good luck.
Thank you, very humbled.